to Tequilacation, where we deep dive into all things tequila and imbibe a little bit of the sweet juice ourselves. I'm Stephanie Acker, and I'm joined today by Chris Quintanilla, the CEO of Azulejos Tequila. Welcome, Chris.
Yeah, hey, how are you? Excited to talk
Welcome.
about
You got
tequila
your
today.
tequila with you?
Always, right?
You're not going to make me drink
Salud.
them by myself, right?
Not at all.
Well, today I think we're going to jump in and talk a little bit about, which I'm really excited about. I think this is going to be such a good episode. We're going to talk a little bit about how to actually drink tequila.
Yes.
So, how to choose your tequila, literally how to drink it and prepare it. Because I know there's some specific ways that will help to really bring out the flavors and notes.
Mhm.
And I'd love to hear your thoughts because you have such a huge background on this, of course, in addition to this being your family business, but you've been in the distribution business. And I know you're a big foodie and drinky, I like to say, about like, how do you understand, like, how does somebody kind of become more educated in tequila, in the notes and things like that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's kind of why I'm here today is a lot of people have their first experience with tequila and, they're drinking out of a little shot glass and take a shot and bite the lime and lick the salt and, cringe face. But a lot of times they're drinking low quality tequila, something that's not 100% agave, so it's not a true full agave product. And this is definitely the wrong glass to drink tequila from. These shot glasses are the traditional, how they look, but if you look at it, has a very small opening, and so they're not really made to sniff the tequila. And then your hands are so close to the top that you're gonna smell your hands and perfume. So you're not gonna get a great flavor on tequila. You want to look for a glass that's more tulip shaped. Whether it's specific tequila glass like this or a champagne flute, but it's going to have a little larger opening. There's a stem here so you can hold it, and it's large enough so it still concentrates the spirit. You can sniff the spirit very nicely. You can see the color and really appreciate it.
And that's going to be if you're sipping it, right? Like, obviously, if you're making a mixed drink. So, for example, I'm drinking mine in like more of a rocks glass.
Yes.
But if if you're sipping it, right?
Yeah, and I have an example of one of my favorite quick cocktails as well. So we're gonna make that here together. But to really understand that, you really need to understand the base of tequila. So on tequila, it's very important that the label on the tequila you're drinking says 100% agave. It might be an extra $5, but being 100% agave, you know that it's certified from the Mexican government. It's the Tequila Regulatory Council. Make sure that the bottle, the serial number, the batches are correct, and you're going to get a high quality product. So, you start with a blanco.
Let me actually stop you there for just a second before we jump in, because that's something. If people watched our first episode, then they would have learned more about the history of tequila, kind of that piece, which I think is really important, and why it's called tequila, the significance of the town of tequila, etc. But just to kind of briefly recap, so what you taught us last time was obviously it all comes from agave, right? And if it's the Blue Weber agave, which I know Azulejos is, then 100%, then obviously that's a completely different level. But in order for it to even be called tequila, it's got to be 51% agave. Is that right?
Yes, correct. So for a bottle, say tequila on the label, it has to be 51% agave, 49% alcohol from other sources. Usually they're going to put in a cheap rum to kind of, it's very expensive, very hard to make agave. It takes 7 to 10 years to grow the agave. It's very difficult to process. So inexpensive tequila is going to say just tequila on the bottle. But if it says tequila 100% agave, that means you're getting a full refined product, right?
Okay.
And then the categories from there go blanco unaged, reposado, which is aged 2 months to 364 days, and then añejo is going to be aged more than a year.
What I'm drinking today.
So actually, I have a cool little set of tequila glasses.
Oh, beautiful!
So you can see here, I got the blanco, the clear bottle, the clear tequila. The reposado is going to be in the middle, so it's going to be aged just a few months, and the añejo on the right is going to be aged a little longer. This is a little tequila set that made by.
I have to get one of those.
But you can see the 3 different types of tequila
So
glasses.
question, so on the añejo, I noticed that, which of course is more of a sipping tequila,
Yes.
right? Because it's aged for so long. It's a very mellow tequila, right? Like I
Yes.
like reposado because it's still mellow, but it still has, it's still got that agave flavor to
Yes.
it. And then añejo is what I like to sip at nighttime. I said this in the last episode. I love to sit out on my patio with a little
That's
bit of just slightly chilled añejo and just sip it. What a great way to have a Friday night. But the glass of your añejo is a little bit different. Is that because it is more of like a sipping kind of drink?
yeah, so on an añejo, actually I brought another example. So this is a cognac
Mm-hmm.
snifter, right? So you want something a little larger so you can really have a good look at the legs and how it swirls, and really nice concentrated aroma because it's made from agave, and it's aged in barrels. You're gonna get a lot of really complex aromas, and you want a glass that you can really see and appreciate the darkness of the color, the clearness of the product, and you're gonna get the aromas and the smell.
Okay.
Another famous type of glass is called a Glencairn, which is used for Scotch. Perfectly suitable for drinking tequila or onion.
Okay. You really do
So,
have a little bit of everything around there, Chris.
but definitely don't not this.
Okay.
So
All
I
right.
highly
Now, my
recommend.
question for you is the different colors. I know there's the new, is it the Cristalino? Is that what's coming? Like the new,
Yes,
which is like extra añejo, but just filtered so there's no color.
right,
But for tequilas that don't add anything to them, which I know a lot of tequilas do have a lot of additives.
right,
So just the pure tequila, right? The
right.
blanco, the reposado, and the añejo. Is the color difference because of how long it's been essentially like sitting in
Yes,
and aged in the barrels?
yeah, that's exactly right. So when you get a blanco, and I'm gonna answer your question by tasting through our 3 tequilas.
Love
So
it.
somebody has to do the hard work here.
That's right. We do have a tough job, don't we? I mean, I tell you what.
That's right. So blanco, when you want to, and I really recommend understand tequila, sipping it, so that way when it's a cocktail, you can really understand it. But I'm gonna
Mhm.
go through this kind of quickly, but really what we look for, right? So you're gonna see a really clear, bright product on silver. You want to swirl a little bit. See the legs; they're gonna really go down slow and wide.
Wait, okay,
Then
so what are legs? So
okay,
now you're starting to talk a language I'm not a part of yet.
yeah. So when you swirl it, you see little drops forming down, right? And it really
Okay.
shows the viscosity of the product. And it's pretty to look at, and you can see how slow it drops, and gives you an idea of the viscosity. You don't want it to be too thin and drop very quick, so you want to see some
Okay.
viscosity there. It's not the ultimate this decider of what's a great tequila or not, but it's definitely something to look at and enjoy. And as you try different tequilas, like you try different wines, you can kind of see the different types. Now, much more important is the smell. So before you taste it, you want to sniff it, get your nose in there, and really try to think about what flavors, and train your brain to understand what you're about to taste and see if it matches what you taste. So right here, I'm smelling a little bit of herbal flavors, which makes sense for the agave.
Mhm.
Kind of different notes on that, and I'm getting a lot of peppery flavors. So very common in a blanco. So after I've done that, then I'm going to do a little sip, and I'm going to breathe in and try to hold my breath a little bit, sip it,
Okay.
and then breathe out through my nose.
Okay.
So salud.
Okay.
Then I'm going to let it coat my palate, kind of get a little diluted with your saliva, and just coat your entire palate. And then see if you can taste the same aromas that you smelled. And actually, I'm
Oh,
getting a lot of the herbal green flavors. I'm getting the pepper, and really nice aftertaste. So after all that's gone, the flavor remaining is a finish. I'm getting some really nice gentle pepper notes and some different spices. So it's really cool to think about that. And then as you drink more and more, your palate's already used to the alcohol on it, so you're going to have it's going to change over and as it warms up, the flavor's going to change a little bit. So it's just really cool to think about
okay.
that. And
So do
again,
you
spend
do you
about
serve and drink that blanco room temperature?
you want to do. I'd recommend room temperature.
Okay.
or a little bit below. You can drink it whatever temperature you like, and some people drink it right out of the freezer. But I've always had it room temperature, and in Mexico, room temperature is pretty common for tequila.
Okay.
But nothing wrong with a nice chilled tequila either. So you probably get a little more notes on the aroma when it's room temperature. But
okay, that makes sense. It kind of like opens up a little bit.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So now I'm going to reposado. So reposado, you're going to have a nice little golden hue, kind of like a pale straw color. Also very clear. You can also look at the legs, very similar to my blanco. Now, good for the aroma. Okay, so you're still going to get some agave notes, some really intense agave herbal notes because it's not aged very long. But you're also going to pick up now some vanilla, some caramel, some oak from the aging. And I think it's just enough to smoothen out the edges. It's not going to give you a overpowering oak flavor where you lose the agave. So again, the most popular in Mexico is going to be reposado because you still get a lot of that agave flavor, but it's a little smoother on the edges, right? So salud.
Now, I'm assuming while you're doing that you're doing the same kind of experience.
Absolutely.
Right? Which is what you did with the Blanco. So you're taking a sip, you're letting it sit there for a minute, breathing out through your nose. Is that right?
Absolutely, yeah. Same process. Now, I'm still getting quite a bit of agave right in the front, but then as it lingers in and it gets diluted by saliva, I'm getting definitely some of that barrel, the oak, the caramel, the vanilla flavors you get from a nice oak. And then really quick on the añejo, this is going to be a really nice treat. So especially side by side, drinking them. So right on the nose, I'm getting caramel and vanilla, a little bit of chocolate, really nice flavors. And you get a lot of complexity because on top of that, you have the agave, right? So
right.
Yeah, just so many layers. And I get a hint of agave right at first, and then it's just an explosion of the flavors you get off the oak barrels that it's aged in. Now we're getting a ton of vanilla, a ton of almost like a sugar cookies flavor.
That's exactly how I think of Azulejos Tequila. Like it's like I get a little bit of that bite at the beginning, which I love, right?
Yeah, but it's not
a bite. It's sharper, right? And then it really just mellows out into almost like I'm having a little bit of a dessert.
Yes, yeah, and it's not sweet. It's not sugary. It's not like maple syrup. It's a natural from the barrel, like straight vanilla without sugar, right? You get that really nice flavor, but definitely not overly sweet. Just very nice oaky round flavor. So añejo is very special and definitely great after drinks. If you do cigars, great with a cigar or whatever you're doing. But all three tequilas are amazing, and I do recommend you try some sipping tequilas or going to. They have these events, the tequila dinners, and things where you can learn a lot more about it.
Yeah, like some tastings and everything. It's interesting because it feels like very complex, like in wine. Yes. I mean, I love going to wine tastings and learning about the wine and the why and everything, but the vastness within the type, the different wines, which is what I really encourage people to do. Is I'm a big tequila fan. I love tequila. I've tried tons of types. And I have a lot around the house. Obviously, I'm a massive Azulejos fan, as you can see from my background. But it's because the same type of tequila, an anejo, let's say, like if I try 6 different types, they taste so different, right? There's so many, and of course, I'm always looking for the ones that don't have additives and sugars, like Azulejo says it. But it's so complex. It's shocking because you do think of back in the day tequila when you're doing shots and, in college and just feel terrible the next day. And I mentioned this in our last episode, but, I can drink a tequila at night, a really good tequila at night, and I feel fine the next day. And I think it's because it is such a pure liquor.
Yes. Yeah, you'll have, I agree 100%. And, on tequila, maybe when I get into a segment about how it's made, right? You have the highlands, which have this red dirt, very nice mineral. The lowlands in tequila, it's a volcanic soil, very special water, different types of minerals. Then when you cook the agave in pressure cookers or in brick ovens and get the caramelization, there's so many other types of barrels, so many factors into a good tequila, and that's why it is like a Cabernet where you have from different regions, different styles.
Mm-hmm.
You get all great, but all different, very different styles and types. So it's great and definitely makes tequila fun and interesting and always looking for the next best thing for sure. So now I'm going to go into one of my
you have a drink. Is that
categories,
right?
huh?
You mentioned you have a drink that you're going to tell us about?
I am, yes. That's next. So
okay.
One of my favorite quick drinks, start with any kind of rocks glass, right? You add a little ice here.
You were just ready to go, Chris. I love it.
Absolutely ready. You're going to add an ounce and a half of tequila.
Okay, and you're adding the Blanco.
I'm adding Blanco, yeah.
Okay.
You can go reposado as well, or you can do 1 and 1, right?
Okay.
Next, I like to make a Topo Chico. And this is really what I'm making is a tequila soda.
Okay.
More called ranch water. And this is a carbonated mineral water. And Topo Chico is famous. It's from Mexico, but it has very big bubbles, so you get a really nice mouthfeel.
Now, what if somebody can't get that specific ranch water? Because I know you can get ranch water at different places.
Giant bubbles here. Yeah, you can use any mineral water.
Okay.
That's fine, or soda water. Okay. So it really is a tequila soda. So now I'm going to pour some Topo Chico here, all the way up. And lastly, I'm going to squeeze some limes into my drink. A full lime. So I got my little squeezer here.
Yep. Got to have the squeezer. Your hand gets so tired squeezing. I learned that as a bartender back in the day.
You might want to rim this with salt. Maybe not if you like that. I usually do. Or some, like tahine, which is a nice rimmer. But 1 lime, Topo Chico, and an ounce of tequila. And you have a great drink, a ranch water tequila soda.
Salud, friend.
Salud. Extremely refreshing. And it's actually only 64 calories. One of the most calorie drinks there is. Most cocktails, believe it or not, have 400 plus calories. This is 64 calories on an ounce of tequila. And in the summertime, which we're about to be in, great by any kind of body of water.
That's very helpful to hear. Yeah, I make a skinny margarita, or like a pure margarita. That's what I'm drinking. Like I squeeze my own limes and everything. But it's still obviously because you've got to add that simple syrup in there. So
yes. So the only difference between this and a margarita, instead of Topo Chico, you're adding a few more limes. Add some simple syrup and maybe some either Grand Marnier or Triple Sec, which both are orange liqueurs. And in a margarita, you're looking to find a balance between not too acidic, not too sweet, and try to mix the lime with the simple syrup and orange liqueur to get a nice balanced margarita. But these ranch waters, less than 30 seconds, and you get an amazing cocktail.
That looks delicious. Okay, we'll put that on the screen as well. The recipes for that also. Something that looks amazing. Thank you for showing us that. That's going to be my new summer drink. Something that I found, so as I mentioned, obviously I'm a tequila drinker. I mean, obviously we're doing a show called Tequilacation, so clearly I'm a tequila drinker. But one of the things that I found is that, so I love a good margarita. I love a Bloody Maria. It's probably one of my favorite things. I love a good Bloody Maria, which if anybody doesn't know, it's essentially a Bloody Mary, but made with a good tequila instead. It's fantastic. And I love to sip tequila, but when I make a margarita and I do squeeze my own limes and all that good stuff, and I've got the simple syrup. Occasionally, I've tried making simple syrup. I've not done a great job with that. So typically I have to buy the simple syrup. Not a huge cook. But something that I've learned, I absolutely love an orange in my tequila, in my margarita versus a lime. Part of it's that I'm not really into super tart flavors. I think that's part of it.
Yes.
But there's something about that orange that just really balances it out. I think maybe because of the Grand Marnier that's in it.
Yes.
But, especially with the reposado, because it's mellow and it's got a little bit of that vanilla and a little bit of that caramel in there. I just find an orange to be a better topping for it.
Yes. The sweetness in an orange and the natural sugars in an orange or orange liqueur is going to balance out that acidity in a green lime. So if it's a little too acidic for you, definitely that any orange liqueurs is going to cut a little of that acidity, and you can always experiment and make it fun.
That's the best thing about tequila, right? Is you get to experiment and enjoy
That's
it for
right.
the whole like the whole way
So,
through.
and it's amazing if I put a reposado in the same cocktail it's only aged a few months, it completely changes it.
It
You
does.
get a very different. You get some of those vanilla notes and from the aging. So
In
it's very
fact, like
interesting
when I
and
have a
super
Bloody
fun.
Maria, I like a blanco in it. That's my
Mhm.
favorite
Yes.
tequila in it. And I think it's because the tomato is so sharp,
Mhm.
right?
Okay. Yeah.
So, I want to know that there's some tequila in there because
Yes.
I love how tequila
Yeah. Yeah.
tastes.
Makes perfect sense. I agree.
Yeah, and I think a blanco works really well on that.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
Chris, this has been amazing. So much information. And we're going to be doing another episode where you talk about how tequila is actually produced. And
Yes.
if you missed our
Great.
first episode, you actually talk about the history of tequila, the importance of the town of tequila, and why 100% of what, agave, Weber agave, and kind of the differences between that, which I find really fascinating. And I think, if our audience ends up really liking this, we're going to do a lot more and have more people on. It's going to be great. I mean, there's
Yeah.
just
I
so
love
much
that.
to always talk about
Absolutely.
and new drinks and things like that. Is there anything before we close out that you'd like to mention that people should, if they're walking into a liquor store,
Mhm.
right, and they're ready to start their tequila journey,
Yes.
what is your top piece of advice for them?
Look, on tequila, you want to make sure you're getting a 100% agave product. That's what I recommend. You're going to get a good quality tequila there. There's a lot of very unique bottles. Tequila collections are more and more popular every day, and I encourage you to try different tequilas and experiment just like you would with wine. And you'll have a lot of fun with your friends. It's a great talking piece, and I'm very passionate about what all our tequila producers do, and it's amazing industry. And I'm glad the world's discovering the hidden gem of tequila.
Well, thank you so much, Chris, for joining us. This has been fantastic. I look forward to seeing you all again. To everyone that is watching, enjoy a sip, and we'll see you soon.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Salud.